one. What is good, people? Today we have another special guest gracing us with his presence here at KAJ Convos. This man is one of two founders of one of, I would say, the biggest brands to come out of Calgary, personally.
I don't know about that, but
we'll just say that.
We're working on it.
Yeah, working on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, exactly. His company, Local Laundry, is the driving force in representing Canada, and is also responsible for keeping us warm through all these cold days. His LinkedIn title calls him the Chief Laundry Officer.
Is that what it says?
It is. I think so. It might have changed, but he's our friend. Please give it up for Connor Curran.
Welcome.
What is up?
There we go. Dustin's the chief laundry operator.
Oh, is he?
I'm the chief laundry folder.
Oh, I see.
I fold laundry. He operates it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you did Dustin's laundry for him or what that really meant.
Yeah,
but.
he does the laundry and you fold it?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, thanks so much for having me on the show, guys. Super excited. Not sure if everyone knows, but Adrian and I went to high school together. And Cole apparently went to high school with us. But,
yeah, that's the urban myth.
But yeah, we all used to be palsy-walsies. But yeah, haven't caught up. And Adrian, I don't think I've seen you in 8, 9, maybe 10 years. And Cole, it's been a minute as well, maybe about 4 or 5 years. So
yeah, exactly, if not longer.
Now we're all grown up, still as immature as ever. And
it's tough because I just want to catch up and just be near you, but
Oops,
we want. Yeah, well, that's what we got. I think that's why we got these extendable mics. But
no, as soon as how it came about was I met your cousin Francis. We were doing this thing with Monkey Restaurant, Monkey Bistro, and Francis. I was like, "Hi, I'm Connor." He's like, "Yeah, I actually know you." And he went to high school with my sister.
Oh,
and
crazy.
He's like, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And he's like, "Yeah, you might know my cousin Adrian." And I was like, "Big Adrian?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah." So and then he's like, "Yeah, they got a."
Because I never got to know Adrian while he was big, while he was a little bit bigger.
No, not big in that sense.
No,
I mean like tall, because
we were both tall. I was also big at the time. Still.
No, I didn't mean it like that.
It's all good, bro. Don't worry about it. It was our past. It was 12 years ago.
I imagine that's the Adrian I would have been best friends with, because that's when he was the best at playing video games and that stuff. But I never got to know him, and now he's fit Adrian. So
yeah, I know.
Whatever.
Well, things change, you know.
But then I asked Francis. I was like, "Yo, do you think you could talk to your cousin and see if you could get me on the podcast?"
Yeah, right. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I don't know about you guys, but I just love podcasts. I think they're so fascinating. I love what you guys have started out. I had one a while ago, and then I started one with my business partner Dustin, and I think they're great. I think they're a great medium, because I think when you when was the last time you actually were able to sit down and just have a chat with someone that wasn't at a bar, whether it was TVs everywhere, and you're just, because I'll be sitting in a room and I don't care what's on the TV. If there was something on that TV right now, I'd just be distracted.
Yeah, it's hard.
We're not on our phones. We're not. It's just 3 people in a room chatting. You know? You don't get that for 30, 40 minutes uninterrupted.
For sure.
So
sure.
I absolutely love doing podcasts. I love listening to podcasts. So I'm just really excited to be here.
Yeah.
No, love it. Well, the purpose of the podcast as a whole is Kohl and I, as you know, are starting this company together.
What's it called again? You never told me what it was called.
It's kind of still, we're a number co right now, kind of still all under wraps.
Cool.
But the podcast is all repping KAJ Convos. So
I love it.
Keep it KAJ, right?
Yeah.
But the whole idea is that as we start this company, we thought it'd be really interesting to document our entire just progress building a company, right?
Yeah.
And most people, when you talk about a company, it's in hindsight, this is what we did, but no one really does it while they're in it. Yeah. And so that's why we wanted to do that. But then also we recognize that we don't know anything, right? We wanted to talk to people like you, talk to other entrepreneurs that we've had and interviewed, just to get their story, figure out how they got to where they are, where they're at. And also just, just kick it so that we can all hang out and get to know each other.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's a great name, Keep It KAJ.
Keep It KAJ.
And Dustin, that's one of our biggest regrets, is not starting our podcast sooner. I take it you guys maybe a little inspired by one of our mentors, Mr. Gary V.
Of course.
Document, don't create,
and
create.
Repurpose, for sure.
Yeah, so I wish if we had money, we would have had a videographer following us around and do little videos, and not that we're doing anything interesting. I mostly work out of my basement in my underwear, but it's sure someone out there would want to watch it.
Yeah.
But it always shocks me, like, because right now, we're just running our podcast through Anchor, and it shocks me like that the people that come up and be like, hey, I listen to your podcast, and it's so funny about this story. Like, someone's listening, it's crazy, but people actually do listen to these things, and even if it's only like our estimated audience size right now, according to Anchor, is like 23.
Yeah.
So, but that's
better than ours, bro.
That's 22 people more than I thought would care.
But that's the point, right? Is like, it doesn't even matter if the audience is 1 or if the audience is 1,000. I think there's almost a level of like therapy that goes through, just like you were saying, having a couple people just sit down and actually talk with no distractions and just figure out life together. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, I don't know if people have heard the story of how Local Laundry started, but let's talk about how you and Dustin got together.
Sure, yeah. Well, I started the company by myself. So last time I saw you, Adrian, right, we were in high school, graduated, and it was like, oh, great, everyone's going to university, and everyone, I'm sure you can attest to this too, Cole. It's like, what are you going to do? Going to go to university? And like 90% of males were like, gonna go get a degree and gonna go work in oil and gas.
Yeah,
and gonna make a boatload of money.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. I went to school out east in Nova Scotia, and everyone's like, oh, what are you gonna do? I'm like, gonna go work in oil and gas, make lots of money. And they're like, great. Like, what do you want to do in oil and gas? I'm like, I don't know, make lots of money.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I wanted to do. Anyway, so I just thought that was going to do. So finally, I come back and get a job in oil and gas, and I was a subcontract specialist. Like, super cool, super fun. Basically, I was staring at legal contracts between construction companies and engineering companies all day, and like about the most boring stuff, about the smallest part of projects, and just like correcting stuff. And I was just a paper pusher. It was awful. I worked there for 2 years, and that's probably where we last saw. You and I last saw each other, Cole. I was just miserable. I was depressed. Like, everyone in that office they just looked so unhappy and that kind of thing. And I'm not poo-pooing oil and gas. I mean, it's done great for me and my family, but maybe that company, maybe that project, maybe that office just was not for me. I was like, no one seems happy, and I want to be happy. Money's not as big of an issue for me. Making money is not the be all end all. I want to do something that I really enjoy, that I could give back. And, money's just a byproduct. If I don't make money, that's fine too.
Sure.
So then, like everyone else in oil and gas, I got laid off in 2014. And, man, like, I thought my life was over. I mean, like, it took such a hit to my ego, to my personality, because so much of, like, and I feel like so much as men, our whole identity is wrapped up on what we do,
Sure, yeah.
And all of a sudden that's just swept out from under you. And I was like one of the first of my friend group to get laid off, and I remember like telling everyone afterwards, and everyone just started laughing, and they're like what an idiot, like who gets laid off, because it was like right at the very start. And I just felt like horrible about myself, like, oh man, I'm such a piece of trash, and not knowing that like it wasn't anything I did. Loads of other people got laid off, and slowly but surely all my other friends started to get laid off, so then I just I was like, you know what, I spent my whole high school and university thinking this is what I want to do. It's obviously not what I want to do. Let's figure out what I want to do. So I was like, I need to take some time. I need to go somewhere, rethink. So I ended up moving to, I always wanted to do my MBA. So I ended up moving to Sweden because I got a really cool opportunity to study over there.
Cool.
Brought my wife over there. She was, we were dating at the time. She'd never really traveled anywhere. And I was like, let's just go live in Sweden for a year. Like, let's just do it. And we'll live in a tiny house, go to school, and we'll travel. And I was so thankful she decided to come, and that was awesome. So while I was there studying, doing my MBA, I was like, hey, what do I want to do? What do I want to do? What do I want to do? And I was like, I really want to, create something that I've been passionate about, that I could give back, that I could grow and meet other people. I'm a massive people person.
Of course.
And so let's try and figure that out. And my parents were successful entrepreneurs. They own a great Irish pub here in town called the James Joyce. And they kind of built a life for themselves by working hard and giving back. And I was like, man, maybe I should, own my own business. So I started trying to do a few different things. I, started a podcast. Sure. I tried to write a book. I try to build an app like every other idiot in 2010. But like, unlike you, Cole, I don't know the first thing about coding. My app was not very good. And then finally, living in Sweden, and people are always like, where are you from? And that kind of thing. I was like, would it be cool? I was really heavily inspired by East Coast Lifestyles. East Coast Lifestyle by Alex McLean, how they took like a region and turned it into a brand and made people really proud to rep where they're from. And I was like, what if we could do that, but on a hyper-local level, do it in Calgary, different Calgary communities. And so I got really wrapped up in my head, and I really wanted, unlike where I built the app where I spent lots of money, I really wanted to find a way where I could start a business like risk-free, not a lot of money. You know, I wanted to spend like $50 to start a business and just see how far I could grow it. And so I wanted something that could I could grow, I could be in charge of, I could, you know, apply everything I was learning at my MBA, but also something I could give back and build community and connect me with other people, right? So I had this idea for, you know, let's do a clothing company. So I just Google searched how to make a clothing company. And then I found a YouTube video, and there was this YouTube video by Shopify that just had like step by step, here's all the things you have to do to start a t-shirt company. So I was like, okay, so I just followed all the steps. and then in like 24 hours, I had an online t-shirt company. And I was like, oh, okay, here we go. Hot dog.
Business is running.
Let's go. And I hardly spent anything. And I mean, so when we first started, we were using, I really thought Calgary community shirts would be the thing. And like, I'm no designer, no coder, I'm no nothing, right? And so I originally, like my website was, I built all my designs off this website called Hipster Logo Generator.
Makes sense. That's hilarious.
And all of the, all these different communities, like Kensington and Inglewood, were just like this drag and drop hipster logo generator tool that I use. And it was great. And it was, so I just like started with kind of nothing. And it's so funny because I didn't know anything about images or art files or PNGs, JPEGs or anything. So like the very first YYC shirts that we came out with, I didn't know how to make the file transparent. You know, so like, you know how like this is like the white YYC and the black. So my, like the original shirts, and I still have some, are just a big white square with black YYC because I didn't know how to make the file transparent. So these people were just walking around with like what feels like a piece of cardboard.
Those shirts are pretty rough.
It's just like an inch thick of ink on there. But
that's the beauty of doing like a partnership, doing a co-founder kind of situation is like Adrian has some skills, so I can be like toss that over the fence because I get him to do images all the time. Like, yo, Adrian, I need this transparent. Just I don't got the tools. I don't.
So then I started. So I was over there and I just kind of growing it. And it was kind of like a hobby. It wasn't making a ton of sales or anything. And I came back to Calgary, got a job at a tech company here, and a job that I kind of liked a little bit more. And this kind of just became a side project and sell a few T-shirts here and there. And everyone thought, oh, that's kind of cute. Good for you, Connor. You know, grow up. And then slowly but surely, we got a few more sales, and I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. But then it was becoming a lot of work, and I was trying to focus. You know, I was getting more serious with my girlfriend, it was, you know, my wife, and I was trying to do really well in my job, and I was like, well, I don't know if still trying to hang out with friends and everything. And then all of a sudden, this guy calls me up, who I don't know if you know. Do you know Anil Rajaram? He was at Mount Royal too. Anyways,
if I saw a photo.
So I was working with him, and he's like, you should meet this guy that I went to university with. He works for a t-shirt company here, and he'd love to talk to you. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, because I was looking to bring some of my t-shirt printing local. And so I met with Dustin, and we kind of chatted, and he's like, yeah, I don't think my company can help you, but I'd love to help out. I think there's really something here. I'd love to see, you know, maybe we could work together.
Yeah.
And I was like, at this point, it was kind of just off the side of my desk. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's see what we can do. And he actually, you know, completed the YYC design with the little mountains. He added the little mountains in there. And he's like, something's missing. Let's put this in there. I was like, yeah, this is amazing. This is perfect. And we did what I recommend anyone doing who's thinking about bringing on a partner is have a trial period. I was like, I don't know you, you don't know me.
Yeah.
But kind of like we were talking beforehand, we were the same age, we all kind of knew similar people. But I was like, let's and through some of my previous projects, I brought some people on, and you know the working relationship wasn't there, so I was really kind of cautious. So I said, let's bring you on, let's try you out, 3-month trial, you know. And at the end of the 3 months, I drew a contract because that was the one thing I learned how to do.
Yeah,
oil and gas
reading all those contracts.
Draw up a contract. So I said, let's test this out and see if we could work together. 3 months later, you know, I was just amazed with, you know, the stuff that he knew. He knew a bunch of stuff I didn't know. He had a different skill set, a different network, and I was like, how do we get you on board? Like, I need you.
That's crazy.
And and it was really cool. And the thing that Dustin and I are very different personality wise.
Sure.
You know, he's a lot smarter than me, a lot funnier than me. But no, we're very different. But the thing that we've never once gotten into an argument. We never, once been mad at each other or anything. And the reason why we work so well is because we have the exact same vision for the company. We both want local laundry to grow, to give back, to be, a herald for Canadian manufacturing. One day we can, both be full-time with the business, make enough money that if our wives don't want to work, they don't have to.
Sure.
And just like live a simple life where we were kind of in charge.
Was it always the plan to I know that like one of the great things about your guys' company is that, like you're all local Canada made, right? Has that always been the vision? Like even when you were abroad, like that was the...
No. I mean, when I first started the clothing company, I didn't know the first thing about clothes.
Sure.
Didn't know the first thing about e-commerce, so I was just looking for clothes. Period. I didn't care where they came from. I didn't know. They just showed up in a box, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. And so we were getting hats from China, shirts from Mexico, sweaters from Pakistan, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Originally, we were all kind of doing on American Apparel because everyone just liked American Apparel, but then they kind of went belly up. Yeah. But then some people started asking, like, where's your stuff made? We're like, wait, I don't know.
Check the label.
Yeah. Some of it's made overseas, some of it's made in Mexico. Like, what's the big deal? They're like, well, you're called local laundry. Why is your stuff not made locally? And we're like, oh, that's a good point. Why isn't it? Yeah. So we started looking at it, and we started doing some research on the manufacturing, like not just clothing manufacturing, but manufacturing here in Canada, period. And what we kind of discovered was just shocking. Canada used to be a really resource-heavy, still is a resource-heavy country and economy, but we used to do a lot of manufacturing. I mean, you go back to most Canadians 100 years ago, guaranteed, 9 out of 10 of them were actually making stuff, either in plants or, at home. But now we've shipped all that manufacturing overseas.
Right.
Nothing is made here anymore. It is shocking how little is actually made in this country. And we kind of looked at one step further, like what are the consequences of that? Sure, we're getting $5 T-shirts at Old Navy, and we can and that's great. But those shirts we don't know what conditions they were made. We don't know what conditions those workers were being treated, and we don't know how that money that was being spent to make that shirt, how that money was being spent. It certainly wasn't being spent in our local economy. Yeah. It was being spent in someone else's economy. And so we've kind of just looked and see what that's kind of done to our country and done to our workforce. I mean, you have all these young people that are working in office jobs. They're working for not a lot of money. They hate their lives. They hate their jobs, and they go home. And everyone's wondering, where's all the jobs gone in Canada? And especially in Alberta. We're going through a pretty tough time here, and we want to talk about diversification. And I'm all for oil and gas. I really am. But we got to get back to actually making stuff. So, anyways, I could talk all day, but I carry a little soapbox. But when we actually started looking into it, it made me so mad that I'm like, why is more stuff not made in Canada? Where did it all go? And it's our fault as consumers, because we wanted to buy stuff for less, right? Gone are the days where you have one pair of good shoes, one pair of good boots, and one good shirt. We want, it's a sneakerhead culture or whatever. You want a collection. You want 500 pairs of shoes. You want 30 pairs of pants, and you want to be buying a new white T-shirt every other week, and it's just gotten out of control. So we kind of hemmed and hawed about it for a lot, because the reason that a lot of companies don't manufacture in Canada is because it's so darn expensive.
Right.
And the reason it's expensive is it's not the materials. Every manufacturer, whether you're in Canada, China, Mexico,
there's just not enough.
No. They're all buying the same materials.
Okay.
Right? Materials are the variance in cost is
minimum wage, or
it's labor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To pay a Canadian labor to make a sweater or a T-shirt is, no word of lie, 20, 30 times more than anywhere overseas. And that's because we have minimum wage laws. We have the manufacturers have to adhere to Canadian labor and environmental laws. Yeah. That doesn't happen in other places. A lot of companies are coming under fire. There was that factory fire in Bangladesh. There was an athleisure company that in the news recently that their workers were getting beaten, making less than
And you hear that all the time. You hear all these tech companies, like Apple's been under fire recently because of some of the labor environments that they're getting put in. And you just hear it all the time. And it's just, at what point do we take an ethical stand, right? And I feel like that's exactly where you're at.
And it's not up to the businesses. A lot of businesses are trying to do their part, but at the end of the day, it's going to be coming down to the consumer. Sure. Because we want more for less. And we want more for less because we're earning less. And why are we earning less? Like, why do we want more for less? Because our buying power has decreased while the cost of living and cost of goods have gone up, but we're all making less money. And why is that? Because we've sent a big chunk of our economy overseas, right? So it's this vicious cycle. And look, I'm no economist. I'm not the smartest. I'm not even the smartest man in the room. But this is just my dumb observations, and I could be way off. But this is
sounds legit to me.
This is how I feel, And so now I'm kind of on this, even personally, like I won't buy clothes unless it's Canadian made. Yeah. Whether it's like my glasses, my shirt, even my underwear. Good old Stanfields. Shout out to Stanfields. They're out of Nova Scotia. They've been around for like hundreds of years. Cranking out underwear, and you can buy them at Costco. They're not even that expensive. Yeah. So the more we kind of, going back to local honor, the more we kind of research this, me especially, I just got so enraged. I'm like, why is this not, why is no one talking about this? Why is no one doing this? And so we were so nervous because our prices were going to shoot through the roof. And we're like, man, no one's going to buy our stuff anymore. Are we excluding people? We have this idea of community. Are we excluding people because we're going to be too expensive? And we were so scared, but we were like, you know what? In order to make this company last a long time, we got to differentiate ourselves somehow. Yeah. Our biggest fear is one day waking up and the YYC design is not going to be cool anymore. Right. And everyone's moved on to the next cool design.
But that's what's insane about what you guys are building is like, what your passion for what you're saying is also reflected in like what you guys are building as far as building community, like getting other local people involved and working with them. Like even you were talking about just doing a photo shoot with at my cousin's restaurant at Monkey, right? Like that's like, I love watching, like even just like obviously from afar, but in social media, it's like you're getting all these local people involved and it's so incredible because I feel like, especially as Canadians, we don't necessarily rep ourselves as much. Like we're always the humble ones. We're always the ones that just, when somebody calls us an American, we're like, no, hold up, I'm not American. But that's the only time you bring up the fact that you're from Canada. But I love that you're bringing that out, right? And then not only are you bringing that like pride out in us, you're also supporting the local economy. Like that's incredible.
And feeding off that is like, what is your favorite thing about our local?
About our local?
Yeah, like Calgary or like Alberta.
Oh, man, like where do we start? Yeah. Well, it's just something, once you're kind of in it and you're making stuff local, that you appreciate how much more everyone else is, you appreciate it that much more everyone else is going to the great extent of supporting local. And I just like, mostly it's just selfish because I just wanted to meet these people. And I'm like, and then you meet them and you're like, you're the most amazing person ever. Everyone needs to know about you, How can we help get more people to know about you? And then that's where like a lot of our collaborations and photo shoots, we want to share everyone else's story. Wow. And we want to share everyone else's story because by sharing everyone else's story, we're sharing our own story. There's a lot of clothing companies out there that try to be the coolest, the sexiest clothing company out there, and we want to be the clothing company that like, look how cool and sexy everyone else is. Look at all these awesome things they're doing. One really, like, I could go on for days about local companies, but one local company I'm fiercely proud of, and they're just down the road, and also a high school connection, is Alberta Boot. Right?
Yeah.
Well, my one
Cole's missing a thumb from.
I worked there in the factory for a bit. I lost, because I'm good friends with Kelsey Growing as well, right? Yeah. So the Growing family took me in university or whatever, and I nipped off the thumb. Show him your thumb. I mean, it's fine, but it's like slightly shorter than the other one because.
No. What were you doing?
Oh, dude, I was because you worked there as well.
I didn't work there.
No, I've just seen you in the boots. When you sew the upper of the boot, it's sewed inside out, and so then you need to invert the boot upper before you attach it to anything else. And so you use this like hydraulic press that has a clamp that just takes it and like rips it inside out. And I think it was like Forward magazine or no, there's a Canadian magazine that was there shooting, and they saw me working one of the machines, and they like immediately just like ran over and like crouching behind one of the machines to like snap a photo of me. So I'm not thinking about the boot anymore. I'm thinking, do I have a double chin?
Yeah,
like, am I looking? Yeah, like, do I look good while I'm doing this? And so I just like used this thing, and I messed up kind of slightly. So I just quickly tried to reset and like quickly tried to do it while they're still shooting me. And I just like ripped this like hydraulic press like right through my thumb. And it just took off the tip, and it ripped out the entire nail.
Yeah, it's
and
awful.
it was like this. Yeah, it was a gash. I had to like, and then I like hid it from the photographers. Like no one knew it happened. I was like, oh shoot, I was bleeding like a bunch. I had to go to like my boss in the back there, and I was like, yo, and I showed it, and he's like, that's not good. We should take care of that. And so they sewed it back on. They sewed the tip back on, but it like turned into a raisin on the tip, and a little of it just went away. So now it's shorter than the other one.
Oh, geez, sorry to hear about that.
But it's great company though. Great company though.
I didn't know that.
His trauma is just full on.
So someone has boots. Someone has a pair of just the cowhide boots there. It's brown. That's probably some blood down the inside.
Got a little chunk of coal in it.
Yeah.
But I love it. So I like. Not only do I love the cowboy boots, but like I said, I try to make all my wardrobe completely Canadian made and as best I can. But I also got like a pair of custom boots made, and like I wanted like dress boots.
Oh, okay.
And built the head to toe, and they're my favorite boots. Like I wear them year round, almost every single day.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love them. And they're a great example because, like you said, we're friends with Kelsey, and her brother runs the show now, and they're a third generation family run boot company.
Yeah.
Right. And how many businesses can you say that are still making stuff by hand in Canada, and all the dangers that go with it that are still making here in Canada, that are third generation family run? Like we just that. You know,
I got workers' compensation from that. I presume at in other countries, if you're going across, those guys are expected to either keep on working or you're done.
Well, that's a really good point. So that you would know firsthand, right? That and workers' comp, like that's not cheap. Like our Canadian manufacturers, they have to pay into that. Whereas like overseas, you chop off a thumb,
they replace you.
Yeah, wrap it up, keep going, or you'll get replaced.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you experience it firsthand, and now it just like enrages me when I go into stores, and you're just like, this whole store is just made in China. There's like, we're buying stuff and we're not contributing to any of our economy. We're not supporting any Canadian workers. We're supporting an economy and a regime overseas that doesn't align with my personal values and our values as a country as a whole. And it just blows my mind. Right. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And we're doing this because you and me, and I'm just as much to blame as anyone else. You and me love that thrill of buying something and getting a deal and getting something new. What's that new, you know? And we're absolutely addicted to it. So we're just really trying to do our part, and we quickly realized that we're never going to be able to compete on price with all these big players. Yeah. So why bother? Why bother trying to compete on price? It's going to be a race to the bottom where they're going to win, and so we're going to compete on quality. We're going to compete on story. No one's going to be able to build community as well as we do. No one's going to be able to give back. No one as much as we can. No one's going to be able to. Share the stories of other really cool people in the community, other local entrepreneurs, other local community builders. No one's going to be able to do that as much. So,
and that's really stood out as well. I remember like a number of years back, I seen something like in the newspaper where it was like, it was a picture of you and probably Dustin and someone else. And they're like, yo, local laundry is going to give $1 million back.
Yeah.
And like, this is how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And I remember that being, I was like, that's crazy. It's like, sure, you got to take steps towards that, and that's like a grand vision kind of piece of information. But it was crazy to see. I was like, that's good to see that investment is going back into our own economy.
And even to build on that too, even as little as, what was it, a couple days ago or last week, right? It's minus 100 here in Calgary right now, right? And you guys like took initiative to help out, right? Like I just saw you. It was funny. I told a couple of people that you were going to be on today, and everyone was sending me texts of you on like global news or something that. Just like, yeah. But I'm like, this is incredible, right? Because like you guys you're living what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So this past Wednesday, we dropped off 500 toques, 200 pairs of socks, and 50 towels. And that's part of what we call our Giving Garments program. Yeah. Because the same thing happens every year. And we got there, and the same thing happens every year. Drop-in puts a call out. And 2-3 years ago, they called out and said, we need toque, socks, towels, we need all these things. And we're like, well, how can we help? Because I really want to get the message across that just because we're a small business doesn't mean we can't have a big impact. And making a big impact is not only just writing $1 million checks. It can be so much more than just that. You know, even something as simple as retweeting one of their call to actions, like that can sometimes mean more than $100,000. So our goal is we do want to donate $1 million to local charities or within the next 10 years, but we're never going to be the company that donates the most money, because we are a small business. But that giving garments, those 500 toques, those 200 socks, 50 towels, that was all because of our program throughout all Christmas. We were telling everyone, and it was because people bought into the idea. People liked what we were saying, that we're Canadian made, that we're more than just trying to make as much money as we can. We're trying to do it thoughtfully. We're trying to give back. And so we wouldn't have been able to donate anything if it hadn't been for every single one of those customers and people that supported us all throughout the last year,
Incredible.
Yeah. So it's just fun. All this stuff is just fun. And I think this is the way you're meant to do business. If you're just going to be Mr. Moneybags and just how much money can I make and how many people can I screw over, what's the point?
And that's a valid thing, right? Because for you personally, you're now 5 years into local laundry around.
Yeah.
And you're still having fun. Mm-hmm. That's good. It means you're aligning with potentially what you should be doing. Right?
Yeah. So I've been full time with the business for about 2 years now, and my absolute worst day at local laundry is like 10 times better than my absolute best day when I was pushing contracts and making more money.
What was your worst day?
At local
laundry, yeah.
Man, so like Christmas is always really stressful because it's the only time of year that you have a hard deadline to get orders
shipping
out. Shipping, right?
Shoot.
And everyone else is shipping everything at the same time, and this has to be there for Christmas, so you're like dealing with customers and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because as you guys know or well aware, like entrepreneurship is just such a roller coaster ride. But I don't think there's like one worst day, but I know I just take everything so. Like, I just hate letting people down, and I hate, getting people upset and mad. And sometimes you try so hard to do everything that you can to make it work, but sometimes you just can't make it work to make someone happy. And people love, sending an angry email with how upset they are, and it just kills me inside. And it even when it is,
but it's your baby, right?
It's our baby, and even it's entirely our fault. Like, we messed up, we dropped the ball, and you try so hard to make up for it, and you still can't do it, and then they let you know how they feel, and how they're feeling is totally acceptable, and you're just like, oh man, darn,
so close.
But even that, I would way rather that because yes, one day you're like, I'm the smartest person in the whole world, like I figured it out, like I'm untouchable, like this is awesome, and then the next day you get something like that, and you're like, I'm the biggest piece of garbage ever. Like, what is wrong with me? This was such a dumb idea. But then the next day, like, something great happens. You're like, oh, this is great. So, like, it's a constant, like, battle, like, up and down, and down. Whereas, and I would take that. I much prefer that. That, to me, is a lot more fun than when I was, had a stable job, making good money, because that was just
a paper
flat.
pressure. Yeah.
It was just, I could predict the next 40 years. And there was no ups, but there was no downs. That steady paycheck come in, but to me, I'd much rather take those ups and downs.
But that's living, right? Like you can't enjoy. Cole says this all the time. Like, you can't enjoy your highs without experiencing some of the lows, and that's just like part of life, right? Is the ebbs and flows.
And Dustin's really great because I don't know how people do this alone. There's a lot of solo entrepreneurs out there, but Dustin's really great because I'll call Dustin up and like freaking out, stressed out about 10,000 different things, and he always knows how to calm me down. He's like, not being so dramatic, Connor. Like, I'm a very emotional guy, and Dustin's not. So he's so smart. He'd be like, "Hey, write out all the things you're stressed out about. You got to do." I'm like, "Oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. Oh, remember that we talked. I got to do that." And the guy called me Mick, and I got to do Mick's thing. And so like I write out all these things. And he's like, "Okay, good. You got it all down." I'm like, "Yeah. You see how much I got to do?" And he's like, "Hey, now I want you to number everything 1, 2, and 3 in order of importance. And how important is this?" And well, that's a 2, and this is a 3. This mixed thing is a 1, that's for sure. And 2, 3. And he's like, "Okay, now erase all the 2s and 3s." And I'm like, okay. And I raced all the 2s and 3s, and there's only like 3 or 4 number 1s. He's like, see, you only got 4 things to do. And I was like, oh.
That's not that bad.
Yeah, that's not so bad at all. I only got 4 things I have to focus on. I'm like, okay, I can do this. Because sometimes as entrepreneurs, we're so alone, and like I said, I work from home in my basement. I'm just in my head all day long, and you're just like, you just take it all on. You take it on everyone's problems and everything. But at the end of the day, it's yours, you're in control of your life. No boss is telling you what to do, and I would not trade it for the world, because the amount that it's given me, it allows me to connect with so many people, reconnect with old pals, the flexibility it's given me, in terms to be able to spend time with my wife. I get to drive, and like you guys, I got to pick up my wife, I get to drive and pick her up every day, when she's off, because she works shift work. She's a nurse, and she got a real job, like a real hard job. Yeah. My best day or my worst days are like, what her, my worst days are what her best days are, like dreamed of.
Yeah.
And so, but some days she's off at like on a Monday, so we can go do stuff like on a Monday. Like we go to Costco when it's dead, or we go to like,
sounds like a dream.
Go see like the new Star Wars movie, at like 3:00 when no one else is there, So the little things, I'm doing what I want to be doing, like the thing I truly believe that I was like meant to do every single day. And if I don't make any money off it, I don't care, because I'm just so insanely happy,
That's amazing, man. That's such an incredible message that I wish more people pursued happiness rather than money.
Well, and it's interesting. I don't know if you guys experience this, but I think right around our age, especially with males, that people start to get really they start to question like where they are in their life. They start to get depressed and kind of like a quarter life crisis.
Yeah.
Because you went to university, you partied up, you had a great time, lived the life, and then you get a job, you start working, you slowly become an adult, and then you start to kind of realize like, is this
you mourn your youth a little bit?
Yeah, you're like, is this it? Like, is this what I'm going to be doing for the next 20, 30 years? And I find so many people are not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Oh, for sure.
And that doesn't mean job. Like you could have a boring job, but then doing what you're supposed to be doing in your off time and whatever it is. And I find I really, because I was there when I was working in Jacobs, this oil and gas engineering company. I was so depressed, and I hated my job and I hated my life, and I would drink heavily on the weekends, as Kohl can attest to, and then be hungover on Sunday, and then be depressed on Monday, and I was just living for the weekend.
Yeah, it's a classic Gary Vee line, stop living for the weekends.
Yeah.
Like that's nothing has ever really spoken to me as much as that.
And I've been saying this for the past little while, because like the more and more that we start doing our own thing, doing some stuff on the side, and then branching off and completely going solo, the thing that I couldn't stand the most towards the end is I'd talk to so many people and be like, hey, like, how's it going today? Or like, how's your Thursday going? And people's response is like, well, it's almost Friday. Like, okay. I was like, are you not excited about your day at all today? Or like, I liked my job before I quit. I really liked my job because I was just writing code all day. I loved it. But it's like, I go talk to other people who are doing the same thing and be like, what are you working on today? It's like, I don't know. Just looking forward to getting out of here.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not.
When is it beer o'clock?
Yeah. It's like, that's not what you want to surround yourself with.
And that's not to say like, because we've messed up a lot of times. We've failed a ton. We've messed up big. Sometimes we've lost a lot of money. So it's not like we're the smartest people ever and we know exactly what we're doing. Yeah. No one knows. The secret I've learned is no one knows what they're doing. Everyone's making it up as you go. Everyone's just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. So that's the message I always want to get across: is go do what makes you happy, pursue it, and it sounds so silly, like don't be afraid to fail, but like. Yeah, don't be afraid to fail. Like, because at the end of the day, who cares? We're only here once. Yeah. So go out and do dumb stuff. Go out and fake it till you make it, and it's just so insanely fun.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and one other thing is a bit of a tangent, but we live in such a generation of now. We want everything now. We want to be gratified instantly. It's like you want to watch something, Netflix. You want to go somewhere, Uber. You want to eat something, skip the dishes. We expect everything now, and so if it doesn't happen now, if we're not successful by tomorrow, if we're not making $1 million by tomorrow, we're upset, right? We don't like that. And the thing I've definitely learned is this takes time. This takes patience. So the thing that gets me really excited is not where we are today, not where we're going to be in a year, 2 years. I talk to Dustin all the time, like, imagine where we are going to be in like 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Like, that gets me so insanely excited, you know, because I think a lot of people, they expect I'm going to start a t-shirt company today, and they get depressed because, like, why haven't I not sold 1 million units by, you know, I started the company last week. You know, why am I not on the cover of Vogue? And the thing I've learned is these things take time, and it's so easy to go on social and look at, like, I remember looking at Alex McLean's social all the time. And I'm like, man, this guy's riding in helicopters with like supermodels, and like, where's my helicopter? You know, like, why I want to be him? Why am I not him? And it's like, and Des and I always laugh. And it's just like, you're on your own journey. Yeah. He's on his own. Like,
people love to fantasize about the results.
Yeah.
And ignore the journey that someone's gone through.
Yeah.
To get there.
And to me, the journey, like, this every day is just so much fun. And I tell Dustin all the time, like, we're going to look back on these days and imagine how much fun it is, you know, how much fun we had and all the crazy stuff we're doing. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm loving it. I love seeing you guys do your thing, you know, and I'm just super happy. I'm super proud of you guys. And I'm excited to do this again in 10 years. For sure. And when we can all laugh and when we're all fat and we all have no hair.
Yeah, it's happening already.
Yeah, and then we'll just talk about, like, the good old days when Keep It KAJ just started. And,
yeah. You know? Well, I do know that you have to run. Okay. So we'll cut this one maybe a little bit short, but we'll call this part 1. Oh, we definitely want you back. We have unlimited things that we need to catch up on and talk about. So we'll schedule another one to try and keep the conversation going if you'll have that.
Totally, absolutely. Anytime you guys need me to talk and rave and rant.
In the meantime, do you have anything on the go right now that you don't want to talk about? Any upcoming shows? You got anything kind of on the radar for local laundry?
Yeah, we got a lot of it. That's the exciting part. We got a lot of really fun, stuff in the fire. One thing I'm really excited for, we're working with the Calgary Hitmen coming up. It's our 25th season this year, so we're creating like this really cool limited edition piece that's kind of celebrates how all the community building they've given and they've done, and all the 25 seasons. They have a pledge to people to volunteer for 25,000 hours across their fan base, and we've created this limited edition Canadian-made sweater, and working with them has been so excited. We got this local artist, Diamonds in the Rough Originals out of Neverland Studios, so that's going to be coming down beginning of February. That's going on pre-sale, and I'm just insanely excited about it. You know, it's always been a dream to kind of work with the Hitmen, you know, and hopefully, you know, work with other teams in that organization, the Roughnecks, Stampeders, Flames. And it's just crazy to me that you know, Google searching how to make a t-shirt company, and now, like, you're working with the Hitmen, you know, you're in the Dome having meetings, like, it's insane. And and these sweaters, I'm telling you, they're going to be so nice. I'm really excited to launch them. So
that's amazing. We can't wait for that. We'll definitely check those out. Website,
locallaundry.ca. You can find us at Local Laundry on all the socials.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming. Like we said, this is the first of many. And we'll definitely try and schedule something soon to get more of your stories out, because I loved every second of this.
Right. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
No, it's our pleasure. Check us out on all of our socials at KAJ Convos, KAJ Convos. All of the links will be posted in all the descriptions to Connor and Local Laundry. Thank you for listening to this part 1 episode. My name is Adrian.
My name's Kohl.
And that is Connor Curran.
And remember to keep it KAJ.
Later. Thanks, brother.
Love it, dude.